Hello everyone, it's Steve with Aptera Owners Club. One of our viewers asked me to take a look at this video, and it's a video by this channel called The Tech of Tech, and the title is Yes, You Can Charge Your Tesla with Portable Solar. And so it was an interesting video, and basically what he's got is he's got what they call a solar generator right here, and this thing is essentially a battery pack that takes a charge from these solar panels. You can also charge it by plugging it into the wall. And then it has outlets, it has an inverter. And then he's got the inverter going out to a level 1 Tesla charging cord, and it's going into his Tesla. There's a couple of things that he makes very clear in the video, but it's brief, so people might miss it. The one thing I wanted to look at is right here. This is a feature that Tesla has evidently that I haven't seen before. I've owned 3 electric cars and none of them had this thing where you could change the charge current. So he changes the charge current down from 48 to 5 amps. So I guess the Tesla can control how many amps it's pulling, and you can change it in the software. That's a very useful thing because these little battery packs probably don't output that much power. And there's different ones, and he's using this thing from a company called Jackery. And if you look at Jackery, this is the one that he's using. It outputs looks like 1,000 watts. So it outputs 1,000 watts, which would be about 8 amps, 8 or 9 amps at 120 volts. So he's setting at 5 amps, which would be much less. Now most level 2 charging pulls 12 to 16 amps. So if you stuck a regular level 1 charging pulls 12 to 13 amps, 12 to 16 amps. And so if you put a regular level 1 charger into this thing and try to charge an Aptera with it, you probably would max out this particular solar generator's power output and it wouldn't be able to charge. Now there are different ones that output more power. There are like 2,000 watt power output solar generators. The other thing is that this is 100 watts of solar panel charge, and essentially what he's doing here is in this video, he ends up charging and depleting the battery in here. So actually, you don't even have to have the solar panels up. You could have the solar panels completely disconnected, and you would just be charging from this battery pack into your car. And you can totally do that. But then this solar charge charges this very, very slowly because this thing is outputting 1,000 watts and this one's putting in 100 watts, and that's in full sun. And this whole system is very, very inefficient because one, you have to have this solar panel. It outputs DC power. It goes into here and then has a charge controller that charges this. Then this thing has an inverter that charges it to AC. Then the AC outputs into this AC charger, and then when it goes back in the car, it changes the AC back to DC. So you're going from DC to a DC battery to an inverter to AC. Then the AC charger does some voltage manipulation. Then it puts it into AC, and then there's an inverter in the car that changes it back to DC, and then another charge controller in the car that charges the battery in the car. So there's like 5 steps where the electricity has small losses at every step, which is why um, with the Aptera, what it's doing is you got a solar panel and you got a charge controller and it goes straight into the car battery. So you bypass this thing, which is why I asked Aptera several times whether they're going to have an MC4 connector or some kind of way of connecting the solar panel directly. So here's the bottom line. You can go buy these things. You could buy this thing. This one's by some company called EcoFlow, or you could buy this Jackery thing, and you can buy it. And basically, you're getting this system, which is solar panels to charge controller to battery to inverter, and then you plug in your level 1 charging cable, then you go into your car's inverter and back to the battery. You could do that, and this would 100% work. It's expensive. It's bulky. You have to carry all this around. When you fold it up, it doesn't look that bad. It looks like this when it's folded up. So you could definitely fit it into the back of an Aptera. and you can make it work. However, if you if you if Aptera puts an accessory MC4 plug or some kind of plug where you can put an external um, solar panel in, then you don't need this. This is not, you don't need this inverter battery pack. You can just take the solar panel, which is much easier. This slim thing, and like this one's a 400 watt panel. And let's see, I think I found it. Yeah, this one's a 200 watt panel for $300. So it looks like this. If you want the Jackery 200 watt panel, that's $700. So this is a little more expensive. This is some off brand. But see, it uses standard MC4 plugs here, and you could plug that in directly to the MC4 plug on an Aptera, and then you would charge directly from this thing into the Aptera battery, which is a much larger battery, and it's a one-step process. It's not a five-step process. So it'd be much better than this roundabout way of doing it that is shown in this video. So I'll link this video. It's worth watching, and he does mention that yes, essentially he's charging from the battery to the car. The solar panels aren't, it's not a direct like from the solar panel to the car thing. The solar panel is barely charging this thing, and you're just depleting this battery. He starts this video with this at 100%. He ends the video with this battery at 0%. Essentially, the solar panels are not even remotely able to keep up with the power output that's needed to do this AC charging. So I'm really hoping that Aptera does put in this MC4 plug or some kind of plug that you can just attach additional DC power to it. I think it'd be great for boondocking. I mean, mainly I would use it when I went camping or something like that, and then you could set it up, unfurl these extra panels. And so this is 100 watts. So you can see these little cells look very similar to the cells on the Aptera. There's 16 in each of these. So this is 64. So I think that each one of these is 100. This is 100, this is 100, so that's 200. 64 being 100, 200 makes sense because the Aptera has about 200 of these things, and Aptera has probably about 700 watts of solar generation, so that the math works out on that. Okay, so I just wanted to mention this video because one of the viewers asked me to look into it. Essentially, in this video, he's using a battery to charge the car, and I think in a Tesla you can modify the amount of amps it draws from the AC charger. In every other car, I have not seen that, and so you would want a battery that can output at least 2,000 watts continuous in order to supply a level 1 charger. But if Aptera will just support an MC4 plug or some kind of a direct DC plug in from a external solar panel and use its own charge controller, you would get rid of a lot of this cost. So instead of spending $3,000, you could spend, $200 or $300 and get extra solar charging. So I hope that Aptera does that. I've asked them about it a couple of times. I don't think it's in their current design plan. Although they did say, when I asked Chris about it in that video where I went and visit them, he did say that their solar charger has quite a bit of overhead, so it wouldn't be too hard to implement. I do hope they implement it, or there's some way to implement it aftermarket fairly easily, because that's a feature I would really like. Another reason I think that would be great is that, imagine you could make one of these solar panels that fits as like a windshield cover, and you could just put this as a windshield cover, and it would protect your car from getting hot and also generate electricity, and you could plug that in, and then when you're not using it, you can fold it up and put it in your trunk. Okay, well, thanks for watching. Tell me what you guys think in the comments. Have you seen this video? What did you think about it? As always, thanks to our supporting members, and I look forward to reading all of you guys' comments. Have a great day, everyone.